Synchronicity University is where the most trusted and celebrated names in astrology today come to teach. These programs coming up in November are choose your tuition rate for a very limited time at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Hello, fabulous superstar Libra. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of October 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological month, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. This is huge. This is important. This is massive. This just may be the most important month of 2023 for you. So much changes for you now, in some cases rather quickly. It's the South Node is really what it comes down to in your sign. Big power players are meeting that South Node and a solar eclipse. All of that adds up to you feeling as if your life is changing, for some very dramatically. It can feel as if what it is that you no longer need in your life exits. It is through exits that happen now that you feel that much more blessed. I want you to think of all those times in your life when an ending provided a beginning, when an ending was something that you felt so grateful for. Finally, that person is no longer in my life or in my environment. Finally, that tough situation, that tough project, that environment is over. That's the type of energy we have here, but so much of it is going to be rooted in you, identity, and what matters to you most and first. We have an eclipse in your sign. You haven't had an eclipse in your sign for about 7 years now, because it is about every 7 years that each sign gets a series of eclipses, but it's the South Node in your sign, and that happens for about 1.5 years every 19 years or so. And so the nodes are very powerful. They're powerful where it comes to prediction, because a lot of the placements in the sky speak to what you want, why you want it, how you go about getting it. But as I spoke of in one of my books, The Universe is Wise and Loving, the nodes have more to do with the things that you promised yourself you would do with this incarnation before it was that your soul entered your body. They have to do with the spiritual path and key moments of a life. Those key moments when something new and next came in that represented a blessing and pulled you towards greater love and greater wisdom. That's the North Node. Or times when there were karmic closures that took place. So people, places, things, situations exited, and that was the massive blessing. That is the South Node. So as I said, the South Node is lit up this month, but then we also get that solar eclipse in your sign mid-month. So I'll give you some exact dates in just a moment, but here's the thing to know about eclipses. Eclipses in your sign change the way you know yourself. They change your identity. They get you honest, but with a solar eclipse, whatever shifts now brings with it a new beginning. New pathways do open up for you, rooted in a new sense of identity. But again, that South Node in your sign being powerfully activated at key moments in the month mean that as part of those new pathways, new identities, new beginnings, there are also closures that pave the way for the new and the next to find you. I have seen people go through massive life changes when they have an eclipse in their sign. And I think this is especially true for you, given how powerful an eclipse season this is. So I have seen quite a few things. These are examples I like to use whenever a sign has eclipses in their sign. Lots of people I've seen quit using drugs, quit using pot, quit drinking. That's something I've seen quite a bit. Lots of people I've seen go through changes in their relationship as well, whether it's the dynamic or deciding to go a different way. Also, I know I've seen a couple of people over the years stop eating meat at a eclipse. One person I met was vegan for 10 years, started eating meat at an eclipse in their sign. It's really where identity comes down to what it is that is fueling the action. So it's not just, oh, this is something I do, not a big deal, but it's not who I am. It's who you are that goes through a shift, what matters to you most and first. So yes, if all of that sounds like a really big deal, it actually really is. And so let's talk about some key dates that I think are going to be so important for you now. The 4th of the month is when Mars will meet the South Node in your sign. That doorway of leaving people, places, things, situations, exiting, and it is a blessing, is there. The nature of Mars is that this could be something that happens very quickly. There may be a jolt of adrenaline as part of this closure, but again, very quickly, you are grateful for it, if not in the moment. And then we fast forward to the eclipse. Just before we get to the eclipse on the 14th in your sign, on the 10th, so taking a step back just before that eclipse, Pluto, moving through the foundation of your chart, Pluto goes direct. After over 5 months retrograde, Pluto goes direct, and this becomes important for a few reasons. It magnifies the energy of intensity already in the air for all of us. For you, it is rooted in something very foundational, very basic in your life, but it's also very possible that it's your past or your family that feels very triggering now as part of awakening and understanding of what is changing within you. And that really is key because that Pluto is speaking in a conversation of tension to key placements in your chart throughout this month, including that eclipse in your sign. So that brings with it a sense of deep tension, a desire to work towards transformation. Just sitting still isn't going to cut it. There can be this real power struggle playing out between you and your family. But I think a lot of this for many Libras is going to be challenging old messaging. You know, there's these memes that go around, at least I see them anyways, that have to do with breaking generational curses or changing generational patterns, deciding that certain cycles don't have to continue through your family lineage, that they change with you. That's the kind of energy we have here, but the change, or at least a key moment of that change, happens very quickly under the light of a solar eclipse. In an instant, you face your past, whether that's the past of your ancestors or your own experiences of your childhood or more recently, and you draw on it for deep power, and it changes your pathway forward from here. It changes who you know yourself to be. But that's not all. We navigate forward, and over the course of the days immediately following that solar eclipse in your sign, those days leading up to a week afterwards, right to the 21st, one by one, we get the Sun and Mercury meeting the South Node and squaring Pluto. Very powerful energies playing out here. And all of this does suggest that it isn't just about that eclipse moment. It's that so much of this month is one where a lot is going to be stirring within you. And so much of this month is setting the stage for you knowing yourself differently. You becoming something different, becoming something more. Now, if you're the kind of person who walks through life and, strives to stay connected, so you already kind of know, okay, this is what I'm feeling, these are the changes, and you make your changes more incrementally. This type of energy in the first 3 weeks of the month might not feel as jarring or sweeping, but even the most intuitive and open Libra out there is going to find this a time that changes a whole lot for you. In some cases, dramatically so, and in some cases, jarringly so, if I'm being very straightforward with you there. I think a lot of it comes together for you as you navigate to the 28th, because that is when we have a second eclipse. That's a lunar eclipse, a partial lunar eclipse. That brings eclipse season to an end. And it is that partial lunar eclipse that is happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with profound change, profound truth. It has to do with how resourceful you know yourself to be and access to resources as well. That eclipse is hand in hand with Jupiter. Lots of healing energy coming in there, lots of spiritual energy. But we also have Mars and Mercury across the sky from that lunar eclipse. And what that suggests is that you are facing some difficult truths about yourself and your life. You're becoming very clear of what must change. And there's faith in your heart. There's faith in the future. There's a sense of real healing happening here, rooted in honesty. And I think a lot of Libras out there may feel themselves more open to greater wealth or prosperity, deeply so, than you knew before. However, it's still energy that is intense. You're considering other perspectives while you're checking in with yourself. And it is that lunar eclipse that does suggest there are changes taking place. They come hand in hand with that energy of closure. But the fact that Jupiter is right there, it says that the closures are a massive blessing. All of this is because on some level, you know that you have so much more yet to do in this lifetime. That is at the root of it. That is at the root of the closures. When it is that you are connected to that faith, again, in yourself, in your future, then whatever needs to change in the moment can. It's okay. Knowing that whatever changes ultimately is setting the stage for better and more and greater than anything you knew before. And I don't say that lightly. Libra sun signs, rising signs, even moon signs as well, are going to find this a powerful moment. Sweeping changes are afoot. Now, where it comes to matters of love, for you, I'm actually going to focus on the energy of Mars connecting with the South Node. And the reason is because Mars rules your opposite sign. It is the ruling planet. It is the representative in the sky of partnership of all kinds for you. Well, Mars is meeting the South Node while in your sign. Something is changing where it comes to love. Again, it might be rather dramatic, but the seed of it, the beginning of it, happens just as you step into a brand new month. But I do think it's going to be, as we get to the end of the month, that lunar eclipse is in a part of the sky for you that has to do with vulnerability, intimacy, and healthy endings as well, endings that you choose, but also deeper commitment. That lunar eclipse is going to get you very emotionally honest about where you are in love and where now things are evolving to something else. The connection of Mars and the South Node in your sign means that it isn't just about a relationship, but it's about you. That's how important what's happening in love now is for your pathway ahead. For those of you open to meeting someone new, a lot of the energies here suggest that you are set to meet someone. And I do think with Mars in your sign, there's almost this like physical desire for adrenaline and passion that can have you being impulsive, but also have you being rather bold and courageous in connecting with other people. And it can feel very powerful, especially around Mars connecting with the South Node, where it feels like there's a powerful karmic lesson here with someone new that you might meet. But by the time we get to the end of the month, the energy of that lunar eclipse is about connecting with someone where it feels like there's this very strong pull towards this person. Ultimately, this is about inviting you to understand yourself more deeply than you have before, to understand what intimacy is for you. Now, it's always up to you to decide what's right for you to do in light of your unique journey, your unique processes. But regardless of what happens practically, it's the inner journey that matters here. And your experiences in meeting other people now change you deeply at key moments throughout this month. For those of you just starting to date someone, well, if ever there was a month that said either this person leaves or the nature of the alliance changes significantly, this really would be it. I do think so much of this month for you is like an all or nothing kind of energy. And so it becomes really important to stay open to whom it is that is for you and what it is that you're really feeling. If it is that this person is for you, well, a month like this can change the dynamic so that it solidifies and grows more committed by the time we get to the end of the month. But if it is that this is not the person for you, a month like this says that there will be that healthy closure as part of you being grateful for it, as part of being open to greater love than you've known before. And for those of you in an established bond, well, I think the overwhelming majority of Libras are going to find that there's a lot of focus on you. But by the time we get to the end of the month, there's a real sense of honesty and intimacy with your partner that bonds the two of you deeply together. There is going to be a small percentage of Libras out there, if you have felt for a while that you're not in the right relationship for you. Wow, a month like this makes it abundantly clear and very likely is going to bring a change of direction. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a valuable and meaningful astrological moment. Well, I'm going to say that solar eclipse in your sign, it's a huge astrological month for you, without a doubt. But that eclipse in your sign is a game changer. It's the first eclipse you've had in your sign for about 7 years now, which is, when we tend to have eclipses moving through a given sign. But it was about 19 years ago when the South Node moved through your sign. And so the nature of the eclipses themselves are going to be different. That's how far back we have to go. But now, as we look at this eclipse, there's this sense of beginnings, but also an awareness that the beginning comes hand in hand with an understanding that you are not who you were before. And that's actually a great thing. You have grown, you have become something more. And for that, you can be really happy and excited about the pathway ahead. Well, thank you so much for watching. Do you know about Superstar? NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each week for each sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers are also available, which give you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below.